Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet the great Kirk Driver. He is the founder of ZeroGray, and he spent some 34 years in law enforcement, and he's going to teach us all what we can learn from leadership in law enforcement. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I'm a big fan of law enforcement, and if you rise up in the ranks of law enforcement, you have to have some leadership style. And Kirk Driver took a lifetime of experience in law enforcement, and now he gives it to corporations and different associations that he speaks to. Keynote speaker, founder of ZeroGray. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. Appreciate
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I have to acknowledge the elephant in the room. You have the best voice I have ever heard.
That. Been told a few times I have a face for radio. I don't know if that's a thing.
No, and you were just sharing with me before the show that you're doing a little bit of voiceover work. And
do a little voiceover. That was just a one-off. A buddy asked me to do a voiceover on a commercial, and that was just fun.
Yeah. All right. So you proudly served in Tarrant County for 3 decades.
I was with the Fort Worth Police Department for 34 years.
Wow.
I retired March 1st of this year, 2026.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And it's been a great organization. It's been a great career. Like I've said for years, this is a front row seat to the craziest show on earth.
Wow.
I've seen some pretty horrific stuff. I've seen evil. But I've also seen abject acts of kindness. And I've seen people giving more than you would ever think possible for a total stranger.
Yes.
Just because it's the right thing to do.
I mean, did you start on parole or not parole, but patrol?
Yes.
Yeah, just.
So when you come out of the academy, everyone starts in patrol.
Okay.
And I did that for about the first 10, 11 years of my career before I promoted up, did investigations, and then became a supervisor a few years after that. A lot of it in patrol, went to a few specialized units here and there. But patrol is where, they call it the backbone of the department. And for me, that really was a blessing to be out there with the officers and leading them through a lot of crisis situations.
Yeah. Okay. So as you get promoted, it's not like there's a bunch of leadership courses. You just suddenly you're in charge of a team, or
not exactly. Actually, that there are. So just like in the military, you think the military, wow, these guys get all this leadership stuff, but a lot of people don't realize just how much leadership that law enforcement and fire service get. And that's by design, because when both show up on the scene, you're in charge of that scene. You're expected to run the show.
Right.
And like the public, when the police show up, we do what they tell them to do. Most of the time, in theory, it's supposed to work that way. So, pardon me, we do get a lot of leadership training. Every promotional exam, there's a leadership book on it, always.
Got it.
As you promote into a new rank, you get leadership training internally, and there's a lot of external leadership training programs for law enforcement. And I've taken the advice and launched good leaders ahead of me, and I've also seen some not so good leaders.
Sure.
The ones that when you read the leadership book go, wow, there's 14 things in here to do, and this guy just does the opposite on almost all of them. And there's a leadership lesson in that.
Yes.
You learn from some, and then you learn from others that, okay, I don't want to do that.
Amen. We're going to pull up your website, and I want you to explain what ZeroGray means.
Okay. So I came up with this concept, this idea, when I retired or moving into retirement, and, build a little backstory. I worked with an executive coach, and what am I going to do in retirement? Because I can't sit still, and I'm not going to sit around for the next 30 years of my life, hopefully. So what am I going to do? How am I going to give back? And we worked through a bunch of stuff. I started a security consulting company. 9 months in, I got the LLC. I'm building this thing up, and I absolutely hated it. And I was like, this is a job. God bless people that do it. It's not for me. So I'm sitting with a group of friends, they're close friends / advisors, and these guys were like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I like speaking to people. I like teaching people. Well, what do you want to teach on? It's like, well, I think I'm pretty decent at leadership. I've had a lot of people tell me that, they enjoyed working for me, and my way of leading them was good for them. So I'd like to do this. And it turns out that leadership is a very, very broad subject.
Yes.
And there's a lot of different ways to lead. So where's my niche? And I think my niche is clear communications, making that ambiguous clearer. And the more I delved into this, the more I realized that there's a lot of gray area inside inside everyone's organizations.
Yeah.
Do the research. Gallup says that the big polling agency said somewhere to the tune of like 68% of the workforce is disengaged to some extent, and one of the major contributors of that is lack of clarity, ambiguity inside their organization. Well, what type of clarity are we talking about? Well, the boss who doesn't really set the mission,
right,
or doesn't tell you the why behind the mission, or I need you to do this, but doesn't give you the parameters to work within, or this guy's a top leader, great sales guy, but he got drunk at a convention and chewed out one of the vendors, and if anyone else were to do that, they'd get fired, but he didn't get fired. So we've got competing sets of standards that are based on personality or performance. That's the ambiguity I'm talking about.
Sure.
So going way back, in the 90s, Stephen Covey wrote that book, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. And in that, he talks about this sphere of influence. Everything inside this circle I can control, and everything outside of that I can't. So work on the things that you can and disregard the things you can't. Well, what I say, expounding on that, is this is your organization.
Yes.
Or your personal life, whatever realm you're working in. There's so much ambiguity outside of that. If we remove as much as we can inside, we're better prepared to deal with that stuff. You can't fix that.
Right.
But you sure can fix the stuff inside.
Brilliant. I urge all of our viewers to follow him on social media. He comes up with these great videos. I found one on YouTube. Let's go ahead and roll that.
Most leaders don't have standards. They have preferences. And preferences disappear the second pressure shows up. If your team only hears about standards when something goes wrong, that's not standards. That's reaction. This is where leaders create gray without even realizing it. And gray is where performance breaks down. This is exactly why I talk about ZeroGray leadership. And if this hits home for you, like and subscribe down below. There's more straight leadership lessons coming.
Absolutely brilliant. So Kirk, some people might be watching this and say, well, if you're a lieutenant in the Fort Worth Police Department, it's my way or the highway. I'm the boss. I'm telling you to do this, and you're going to do this. Does that work in corporate America?
Well, when I was a lieutenant, it didn't. But as a captain, it darn sure did. I jest. But it's not about it's my way or the highway, and it never has been. You do have quote unquote leaders, but that's not a leader, that's a manager.
Right.
Okay. And to it's my way or the highway, that doesn't fly with today's workforce. Hasn't flown in 50 years.
Yeah.
And in the civilian world, of course, it doesn't work. A true leader, though, and there's a lot of different leadership styles, but I've heard, so what is leadership? Well, it's the basic definition we all know is it's getting someone else to voluntarily do the things that you need done, right? Okay, that's a very basic. But I also read, and I love this definition, that a true leader is the guy who makes you want to become a better version of yourself.
Oh, that's cool.
And that to me is where the essence is. That's where the secret sauce is, if you will. In leadership, if I get these guys and gals to want to push themselves harder, to want to grow, to further their education or their physical fitness or their relationships or promote within the organization, that's leadership.
And that's so important because these days you have Gen Z coming up, and often they're a hotshot salesman or saleswoman, and they get promoted to lead a department, but they haven't read a book on leadership, and sometimes they're managing people twice their age.
Absolutely. And with that, you touched on something. So again, as we discussed earlier, people expect the military, God, these guys got all this leadership training. And in law enforcement, public service, police, fire service, we do get a lot of training. And what pushed me towards keynoting on leadership is where's my sweet spot? Middle management and corporate America. Because just as you said, those folks are not getting leadership training unless they seek it out on their own. And that's the one-off guy, because most of them are busy working to try and, satisfy whatever the job requirements are. And I say those corporations need to invest more in developing leadership in their workforce, starting from the line supervisors up through the middle. By the time the guys get to the C-suite, most of them have had or developed their leadership style by then. But those early to mid-level managers, if corporations invest in that workforce with those leadership trainings, and there's a lot out there, then perhaps we can drive down that number, that 68%. By the way, Gallup, that poll also said that 17% of the workforce is actively checked out, meaning they're just breathing air and holding the seat until the boss figures out they're not doing anything, and they don't care that they're going to get axed. So what does that cost us? I think I read something to the tune of $9 trillion globally.
Wow.
Annually? Well, if we can fix some of these issues by removing that ambiguity, so that we have clear communications, where the employees understand that they've been told the standards, but can also recite back the standards and the goals and the why for what we're doing this with our organization. When they get their heart back into the game, we can, it's a win-win for the company. You pay a couple $1,000s for some training, and it results in several $100,000 of increased productivity, or more.
All right, Kirk, we have about a minute left. So look into the camera on the left. Talk to the head of a company or an organization who might need to bring you in.
All right. You've got gray areas in your company. You got ambiguity in your company. It's there. You may or may not realize it, but go down to your line, go down to your mid-management, and ask them what the mission of your organization is. Ask them what the standards are. Ask them if everyone's being treated equally. And I think the answers are going to surprise you. And what I say to that is, there is a better way. There's a way to clarify that message. And if you find me on ZeroGray.com, I'll be more than happy to share with you what those strategies are.
Outstanding. Kurt, thank you so much. We're going to end with website, which again is ZeroGray.com. The great Kirk Driver. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Jay.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.